Hi students, today we will be talking on cursors. That is very important topic of PL SQL, right? As in case of SQL, when we submit any kind of query, so we were not concerned about the number of rows that are returned. It may be 0, it may be 1, and it may be thousands of rows. But now in case of PL SQL, we cannot use ordinary select statement to fetch multiple records from a database. So that point is very important, right? But now if we're talking about a cursor is what? When a SQL statement is issued, the Oracle server opens an area of memory, right, in which command is passed and executed. And that area is basically known as cursor. So cursor is a pointer to this context area. Oracle creates context area for processing a SQL statement which contains all information about the statement. PL SQL allows the programmer to control the context area through the cursor. A cursor holds the rows returned by the SQL statement. The set of rows the cursor holds is referred as active dataset, right? So these cursors can also be named so that they can be referred from the another place of the code. It's very clear. The concept of cursor is very simple. Why we need cursor and what does it mean? The cursor is what? It's a work area basically which is used for the internal processing by Oracle engine when we issue any kind of SQL statement, right? So the cursor that we are using in PL SQL is of two types, right? First is implicit cursor and the second one is explicit cursor. So in case of implicit cursor, whenever any DML operations occur in the database, an implicit cursor is created that holds the rows affected in that particular operation. These cursors cannot be named and hence they cannot be controlled or referred from another place of the code. We can refer only to the most recent cursor through the cursor attributes that we will be talking further. Now, in case of explicit cursor, programmers are allowed to create named context area to execute their DML operations to get more control over it. So the explicit cursor should be defined in the declaration section of the PL SQL block, and it is created for the select statement that needs to be used in the code. So basic difference is what? Implicit cursor is invoked automatically. We are not doing anything. We are just passing a SQL statement, and any kind of cursor that is implicitly invoked, that is known as implicit cursor. But now when we want to we want to fetch multiple records, in that case we need explicit cursor. So we will be discussing that, right? Now, it's very clear that implicit cursor is invoked automatically whenever we execute a SQL DML statement. So DML statement means that is data manipulation language, and the commands which you already know, that is insert, update, delete, or a select into statement that returns a single row, that is used in case of implicit cursor. Now we are going to discuss several types of cursor attributes. So why we need attributes? Basically, we want to control the execution of the cursor. So for that purpose, for understanding the cursors in detail and for knowing their state also, we need these attributes. And attributes is what? That is basically used like this. That is your percentage symbol, and then this is your attribute name. So we are having these different type of attribute that is available in PL SQL. So first one is percentage found. It returns true if record was fetched successfully, false otherwise, right? And percentage not found, it's very clear, not found, returns true if record was not fetched successfully, false otherwise. And third one is percentage row count. It returns number of records fetched from cursor at that point in time. And last one is percentage is open. So that is basically used when we want to open the cursor, right? So it returns true if cursor is open, false otherwise. So these are various attributes that we are going to use with implicit cursor as well as with explicit cursor. In case of implicit cursor, so these are the operations basically that is done automatically. We are not doing anything, it is done automatically because implicit cursor is invoked automatically, right? So first operation that is done is reserving area in memory. Second one is populating this area with appropriate data. Third one is processing the data in memory area. And last one is releasing the memory area when processing is complete, right? Now this is the example of implicit cursor using SQL %found. A PL SQL program to check whether the record exists for a given employee number. If so, then retrieve his salary. So we are just showing the concept of this attribute, how we are going to use this %found with implicit cursor. It is used with implicit cursor, that's why we are using SQL here. Otherwise, we will use the cursor name, that will be the cursor name of explicit cursor and then %found. So attribute will be same, we can use with implicit also, we can use with explicit cursor also. Now, in this program, in declare section, we are having a variable name that is salary, right? To fetch salary from the table. In begin section, we are using select cell. This cell is from table, right? Emptable. Select cell into salary in this variable name from emp where employee number, and now we are using the concept of reference variable. That means the user is giving this employee number at the runtime. And now we are using this attribute %found. If SQL %found, then we are just displaying record is found and we will display the salary. Otherwise, we are using an exception. Exception is what? This is predefined exception, right? When no data found, then we are just displaying a user-friendly message and we are ending the program. So that is the way how we are going to use the attributes with implicit cursor, right? Now in the similar way, we can also use the concept of %NOTFOUND attribute, right? So this is the example of implicit cursor using SQL %NOTFOUND, this attribute, right? So write a PL SQL program to update the salary of given employee using SQL %NOTFOUND attribute to check the record is updated or not. So in begin section, we are just writing an update command to update the salary by 100. Update emp, set is a keyword, then cell is equal to cell plus 100. That is update command that we were using in SQL. Where emp number is equal to %emp number, that is provided by the user, right? Now we are using %NOTFOUND. If SQL %NOTFOUND, then record not found. Else record is updated. So it's very simple program. Basically it shows the concept of use of %NOTFOUND with implicit cursor, right? Now this is the example of implicit cursor using SQL %RowCount. Row count is basically used for a number of rows, to count the number of rows, right? So write a PL SQL program, count the number of records affected, increasing the salary of employees by 100 in emp table. So we are having an emp table and we are increasing salary of every employee in the table. So for that, in begin section, we are writing update command, update emp, set keyword, then cell is equal to cell plus 100. That means we are updating the salary of every employee. There is no particular condition basically, right? Now we want to know how many rows are updated. So in that case, we have to use this attribute, right? So we are just using to display how many records updated. SQL %RowCount, and this is concatenation operator, records updated, right? So this is the use of %RowCount. Now this is the last attribute of cursors that we are using with implicit, and we can use with explicit also. SQL % is open attribute. Is open attribute, it comes true basically when the cursor is open, right? But now in case of implicit cursor, this attribute always returns false because implicit cursors are closed immediately after they are executed. So that is the reason it will always be false. We can show the use of is open cursor in case of explicit cursor. So in my next module, I will be discussing about the explicit cursor with different examples, right? So now if you have any kind of query, you can ask me, and please feel free to ask me any questions, any query in comment sections, right? Thank you.